you and I've talked about this, that some of the people in your program are hesitating to record a video. And I know certainly some of the people in my program are too. And it's something that we know, as with all things, you won't get comfortable until you do it, and you do it and you make mistakes and you make more mistakes and you do it again. And you start to be less afraid of screwing up, because guess what? It's just something easy peasy, right? Little Facebook Live to start. Doesn't have to be like a webinar or a YouTube video or something.
Right. Like that. I remember before I did my first Facebook Live, I just like took my phone and like recorded myself, and I was like, okay, delete, like, and then I record myself again. I'm like, delete. Okay. And then I don't know. I did that probably like 5 times, where I was just recording myself pretending to talk to people. And then I started to do my lives, and oh my gosh, so funny. My mom was the only one who was watching them. Of course. She was like, why do you look like you're reading something? Because I was very like, and today we're going to talk about, like, I just like say really still and like not move my hands and stuff. And I'm like, all right, I need to like loosen up. Anyway, long story short, my mom got so sick of watching me that she like unfriended me and even closed her Facebook. And my mom's like my best friend. So I can say this, like, but at the end of the day, what's the answer? Like, my mom is not my ideal client. Like, I don't need her to be watching my videos. I needed somebody who wants to hear my message, listening to my videos. And so anyway, it took a little bit to get to where I am, like, comfortable on camera and talking. And even so, like, I have to take a couple of deep breaths before I get on, and like clear my throat, before, and the fear and the nerves like never really go away.
No.
And I think if you realize that early on, you'll be so much farther ahead.
Yes. That you have to learn to make room for discomfort in this process. Exactly. And that's, it's not our human nature. We do not want the discomfort. Everything in our body tells us not to go into the discomfort, but you have to want the outcome. And that has to be really aligned with something important to you. Yeah. It's your big why. Like, why are you doing all this?
For me?
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. I love this question. I like asking people this question too, but I don't think anybody asked me. I'm the coach. Well, Alex maybe asked me, but my big why, and I actually think I just got my, my passion planner daily. I switched from a weekly to a daily. So it's interesting, but, I love that I can like take notes when I'm on calls with people. So it's really nice. But, anyway, so my big why, I had to write it in here because I was like, all right, what do I want? Like, why do I want to do this? And number one is really for my daughters. I mean, that's just on multiple levels, right? Like, I want to model what it's like to be a successful woman entrepreneur to them, even if they don't want to go into entrepreneur, just a successful woman, period. To them. So that's number one. Number two, I want to show them the world. I want to be able to travel school and not just homeschool. So go out and learn about things outdoors and go to museums and just, do all the things with them. And then to leave a legacy. I think that's like, the biggest thing too, is just to say like, what did I leave in this world when I passed away? And so those are probably my 3 biggest reasons. And then obviously my husband, to get a little bit, personal, he has like physical limitations. And so I don't want him to have to go work a labor intensive job, which is what he was doing to help maintain the household. And so now if I can be more of the breadwinner, then he can do something that's more pleasant, less labor intensive, and hopefully live a longer and healthier life again for our daughters. And so at the end of the day, it all boils down to the girls because we love them and they're just the cutest.
Beautiful. That is beautiful. And that's why you can make room for all of the discomfort, because you have a really powerful reason for doing this. So when the going gets tough, you wrote it on your daily planner. Yes. Okay, like, this is why I'm doing this. And that way you're oriented to it every day that, okay, I'm going to get uncomfortable. I'm going to do something and stretch, and it's going to be hard, but it's worth it because my family's worth it. And the life we live is worth it.
So worth it.
Yeah. Oh, I love that. My why is very similar. It's about that. It's about being present with my family. It's about having time and energy for them and travel. Travel is key for us. We love to travel. This last year and a half has been really hard, with not being able to travel. But at the same time, it's allowed me that extra time to invest in creating this business that will allow us more flexibility so that we can travel. My kids are teens, and I'm starting to think about being on that downhill slope of, wow, we've only got a few years left with them at home. And that's really frightening. And how do I really make the most of that? I was home a lot more with them when they were young. I worked kind of either a 0.4 or 0.6 when I worked for our health region, and then started my private practice with the intention to only work 3 days, and it just kept expanding into my time. Right. And so I was tired of hearing myself say to others when they say, hey, how's your work? How are things? I say, oh, too busy. I need to narrow it down. I'm a better mom. I'm a better person when I'm only working 3 days a week. And yet it still kept expanding. And so that's my why too, is freedom, flexibility, family.
Yeah.